My friend, listen closely, because what I'm about to tell you may very well be the message your soul has been waiting for. God did not bring you this far to fail you. You may feel weary. You may be standing at the edge of uncertainty, wondering if you have the strength to go on. You may have cried in silence, asking why life has turned out this way. You may have questioned if God still remembers your name. But hear this with all the power of faith within you. If God led you this far, it's because there is something greater ahead. The same God who carried you through every storm, who sustained you in every valley, and who lifted you when you were too weak to stand, is not about to abandon you now. You are not forgotten. You are not forsaken. You are still in the hands of the one who never fails. Every trial you've endured, every tear that has fallen, every night you've spent in silence, wondering what tomorrow would bring, all of it has been preparing you for something you cannot yet see. God never writes a story that ends in defeat for those who trust Him. You may be in the middle of the storm right now, but the middle is not the end. God has already written your victory. You may be walking through fire, but this fire is refining you, not destroying you. You may be carrying the weight of fear, but even that fear is being used to strengthen your faith. God did not bring you through the wilderness to leave you thirsty. He did not lift you out of the pit to watch you fall back in. He did not awaken your spirit to abandon you halfway. When God begins a work in your life, He finishes it perfectly, powerfully, and in His own time. There are moments when life feels like a cruel contradiction. You pray and nothing seems to change. You believe, but doors remain closed. You give your all, and yet the results fall short. But what if I told you that God is not ignoring you? He is positioning you. What if I told you that what feels like delay is actually divine preparation? Sometimes God must close certain doors, because what waits behind them cannot sustain the weight of your calling. Sometimes He holds you in waiting because He is strengthening what's within you before revealing what's before you. And sometimes God allows your faith to be tested not to destroy it, but to deepen it. He does not bring you this far only to see you crumble. He brings you this far to build something unshakable in you. Think back over your life. Think of every mountain you thought you'd never climb, every season you thought would break you, every storm you thought would drown you, and yet here you are. That alone is proof that God is not finished with you. You've seen too much of His mercy to doubt His power now. You've walked through too many valleys to question whether He's able. You've been through enough to know that even when everything seems lost, God still finds a way. If He has carried you this far, do you really believe He would suddenly let you fall? No, my friend. The God who brought you here is the same God who will lead you beyond here. He does not change His mind about your destiny because of your difficulty. There are people right now who feel like giving up. They've prayed for years and seen no breakthrough. They've tried to do right and still face resistance. They've watched others move ahead while they remain stuck in place. But I want you to hear this with all the strength of conviction I can muster. You are not stuck, you are being shaped. You are not behind, you are being built. You are not forgotten, you are being refined. God is preparing you for the day when everything suddenly makes sense. He is building in you the strength, the patience, and the wisdom to handle what He's about to release. Sometimes the hardest seasons of your life are not signs that you've been abandoned. They are signs that you are being trusted. God trusts you enough to take you through the process because He knows you will come out stronger than you went in. There will come a time when you look back and realize that the pain you hated was actually the bridge to your purpose. The loss you mourned was the turning point to your destiny. The season you feared was the soil where your faith grew roots. God wastes nothing. Every setback carries a lesson. Every disappointment carries direction. Every failure carries transformation. And though it may not make sense now, the day will come when you will see it clearly. God did not bring you this far to let you fail. He brought you this far to show you His power in a way you've never known before. Sometimes God must let you reach the edge of yourself so you can finally discover the fullness of Him. When you run out of strength, He becomes your strength. When you run out of plans, He becomes your guide. When you run out of options, He becomes your way. You see, it's easy to have faith when everything makes sense. It's easy to trust when the road is smooth. But real faith is forged when the light fades and you still choose to believe that God has not left you. Real faith is not about seeing the path. It's about knowing who walks with you on it. When you can't see the way, remember this: God never loses sight of you. You may not know what tomorrow holds, but you can rest in knowing who holds tomorrow. There are times when God will let everything you rely on fall apart, not to punish you, but to teach you that He alone is your source. People may walk away, opportunities may vanish, doors may close. But if you have God, you still have everything you need. Because when He decides to lift you, no human can block it. When He decides to open a door, no one can shut it. When He decides to bless you, no force on earth can stop it. God's plan is not dependent on the approval of others. He does not need your circumstances to be perfect to bring His promise to pass. All He needs is your faith, your surrender, your trust that says, even here, even now, I still believe. There's something powerful that happens when you refuse to quit in the middle of the storm. When you stand firm, even when your knees tremble. When you keep believing, even when your heart is breaking. When you keep praying, even when heaven feels silent. That's when you prove that your faith is not conditional. That's when God begins to move in ways you never imagined. Because faith that stands the test of fire is faith that carries the fragrance of heaven. When everything in you says, give up, but you whisper, God, I trust you. That's when the heavens lean close. That's when the impossible becomes possible. You may not realize it, but the very battle you are fighting right now is a sign that you are close to something greater. The enemy does not fight what is not a threat. The struggle you feel is not proof of failure, it's proof of purpose. The pressure you're under is not a punishment, it's preparation. God is toughening you up for the territory ahead. He's teaching you to depend on His strength and not your own. Because where He's taking you, human effort won't be enough. You'll need divine endurance. That's why the struggle has been so long. That's why the waiting has been so hard. God is not trying to break you. He's trying to build you into someone who can handle what He's about to give. There will come a moment when all the pieces will finally fit. The people who doubted you will wonder how you made it. The ones who left you will see that you didn't need their approval, and you will stand in awe of what God has done, realizing that every delay was a blessing in disguise. Sometimes God keeps you hidden until the right time, because premature exposure can destroy a promise. He's not withholding your blessing, He's protecting it. He's not denying your request, He's perfecting your heart. He's not ignoring your prayers, He's aligning them with His purpose. When the time is right, no power on earth can keep you from what belongs to you. The same God who planted the dream in your heart will bring it to pass in His perfect season. And when that season arrives, you will understand why you had to go through what you did. You will understand why certain people couldn't stay. You will understand why certain doors wouldn't open. You will understand why the path had to twist before it straightened. You will realize that everything that felt like a detour was actually divine direction. God never miscalculates your journey. He knows exactly what He's doing. Every obstacle, every heartbreak, every unanswered question, it's all part of a greater design. And when it all unfolds, you will see that He never failed you. He was working behind the scenes, even when you couldn't feel it. Some of you listening today are standing in the middle of a season of uncertainty. You don't know how the bills will be paid. You don't know how the situation will turn around. You don't know what tomorrow will bring. But I want you to lift your eyes above your fear and remember this truth. If God has brought you this far, He already has a way prepared. He does not lead you into a place without providing a way through it. What looks impossible to you is already resolved in His plan. You don't have to understand how. It's enough to trust that He does. Faith does not demand explanation. It rests in assurance. You may be walking through darkness, but you are not walking alone. God walks beside you. His presence surrounds you. His mercy covers you. Even when you can't feel Him, He's still there, closer than your next breath. Sometimes His silence is not absence, it's strategy. Sometimes He steps back to let your faith step forward. Sometimes He withholds answers so your trust can grow deeper roots. The absence of immediate results is not the absence of divine movement. God often works in the quiet, in the hidden, in the unseen, shaping the outcome before revealing it to your eyes. There is something sacred about endurance. The ones who refuse to quit, even when everything falls apart, are the ones who eventually see the glory of God's faithfulness. The race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, but to those who keep going when everything says stop. Every time you choose faith over fear, you move closer to your destiny. Every time you speak hope when it would be easier to despair, you invite the power of heaven into your situation. Every time you refuse to give up, you align yourself with the promise that cannot fail. God did not bring you this far to watch you sink. He brought you this far to teach you that even the waves obey His will. The world may tell you that success comes from power, position, or possession. But true success comes from staying faithful when it's hard. True victory comes from trusting when there's no visible reason to. True greatness comes from believing when others stop believing. Because the measure of a soul is not in how high it climbs, but in how deeply it roots itself in faith when the winds blow strong. The person who learns to stand firm in God's promise cannot be shaken by life's storms. You can take everything away from such a person, but you cannot take away their faith. And that faith will rebuild everything that was lost. Right now, some of you are standing at a crossroads between fear and faith. You can choose to give up, or you can choose to go on. You can choose to believe that God has abandoned you, or you can choose to believe that He's still working. Let me remind you, the choice you make now will shape the rest of your journey. Don't let temporary pain make you forget permanent promises. Don't let today's confusion blind you to tomorrow's clarity. Don't let your emotions dictate what your faith already knows. That God cannot fail. If He started something in your life, He will bring it to completion. You may bend, but you won't break. You may stumble, but you won't fall. You may cry, but those tears are watering the seeds of your coming harvest. I've seen people rise from ruins because they refused to stop believing. I've seen lives turn around when everything seemed lost. I've seen doors open after years of waiting. I've seen hearts healed that were once shattered beyond recognition. And every time, the story begins the same way, with someone who held on to faith when all logic said let go. That's the kind of faith that moves mountains. That's the kind of faith that draws miracles. That's the kind of faith that makes heaven move on your behalf. When you stand firm in the face of impossibility, you send a message to the world that your hope is not built on circumstance, it's built on God. There will be times when people won't understand your faith. They'll question your hope. They'll mock your patience. But stay the course. You are not living for their approval. You are living for God's purpose. You are not bound by their timeline. You are walking in His divine timing. The same God who began this journey with you is walking beside you right now, even when the road feels lonely. And one day, those same people who doubted you will see what faith can do. They'll see that God does not fail the ones who trust Him. They'll see that those who wait on Him are never put to shame. When you feel weak, remind yourself of how far you've already come. You've survived what once seemed unbearable. You've grown through what once felt impossible. You've overcome challenges that should have broken you. And if God carried you through all that, He's not about to drop you now. His hand is still upon you. His plan is still unfolding. His power is still active in your life. You are still in the middle of His story. And this chapter is not the end. You may not see it yet, but the victory is already written in your favor. There is no failure in God's plan. There are lessons, there are delays, there are redirections, but never failure. Even when you make mistakes, God can turn them into miracles. Even when you fall, He can use that fall to lift you higher. Even when you wander, He knows how to lead you home. You cannot outrun His mercy. You cannot outlast His love. You cannot undo His plan. What He has destined for you will come to pass in His way and in His time. So hold on a little longer, pray a little harder, believe a little deeper, because the story is not over yet. The same God who painted the stars knows your name. The same God who commands the seas commands your destiny. The same God who holds the universe holds your life in His hand. You have not been forgotten. You have not been abandoned. You have not been left behind. God is not finished with you yet. And when it's all said and done, you will look back and say with gratitude, God did not bring me this far to fail me. My friend, when God brings you this far, He does not change His mind about you halfway. He is not a God of unfinished works or abandoned promises. Every step you've taken, every mountain you've climbed, every valley you've walked through has been part of a divine pattern. You are not wandering aimlessly. You are being guided by a wisdom greater than your own. The same God who placed the stars in perfect order is the same God who orders your steps even when you can't see where they lead. What you think is chaos is often the choreography of destiny. What feels like confusion is the arrangement of a miracle in motion. You may not understand it now, but one day you'll look back and see that God's hand was guiding every twist and turn. There are moments when life feels cruelly unpredictable. You do your best and still things fall apart. You give your all and the results seem to mock your faith. But I want you to remember something powerful. Faith does not fail because of circumstances. Faith fails when you stop believing that God can use those circumstances for good. When everything in you screams, this shouldn't be happening, faith whispers, God is still in control. He has never lost a battle. He has never made a mistake. He has never abandoned a soul that truly trusted Him. You may be standing in the middle of uncertainty, but God is not uncertain. You may not see the way, but God sees the destination. Your perspective is limited, but His is eternal. He already knows the ending, and it ends in victory. Sometimes God brings you to the very edge so you can learn to depend completely on Him. When there's no one left to call, no place left to turn, and no strength left to stand, that's when you discover that He alone is enough. God allows us to reach that place of surrender not to destroy us, but to redefine us. You see, as long as you can rely on your own plan, you won't fully rely on His. As long as you can fix things yourself, you won't learn the power of His timing. It's when you lose control that you finally find peace in the fact that God has never lost control. He is not asking you to understand everything. He's asking you to trust Him through everything. You don't need to know how He will make a way. You just need to believe that He will. I know what it feels like to pray and hear silence. I know what it's like to ask for direction and see no sign at all. But silence does not mean absence. Delay does not mean denial. God often hides his greatest work until the moment it's ready to be revealed. Think of the seed buried in the ground. It looks like nothing is happening, but beneath the surface, life is forming. That's how God works in your life. Beneath the soil of waiting, something is growing: your strength, your wisdom, your patience, your endurance. And when the season is right, what was hidden will break through the surface in glory. So don't despise the seasons of silence. Don't curse the waiting. What feels like delay is often God saying, I am preparing something better than you asked for. There is power in patience. We live in a world that rushes everything, but God works through process. He develops your faith step by step, moment by moment. Every test has a purpose. Every setback has a lesson. Every waiting season has a reward. The same fire that destroys straw refines gold, and God is refining you. You may feel the heat, but that fire is burning away fear, doubt, and weakness, leaving only strength and faith behind. You are being shaped for something greater. The longer the process, the greater the purpose. And if you hold on, if you keep believing, you will see that what looked like delay was actually divine preparation. There are days when you'll want to quit, when everything in you will say, it's too hard. I can't do this anymore. But that's the moment you must remember how far you've already come. You've been through worse and made it through. You've walked through storms that others couldn't survive. You've faced pain that should have broken you, yet here you stand. Why? Because God carried you. His strength has been your anchor, even when you didn't realize it. The fact that you're still standing is proof that His hand has never left you. Don't let temporary pain make you forget eternal truth. You were not brought this far to be defeated now. Sometimes the things that seem to go wrong are actually going right in a way you don't yet see. That job you lost might be God's way of redirecting you to a greater opportunity. That relationship that ended may have been God's way of protecting you from what would have destroyed you. That disappointment may be the door that leads to your destiny. God doesn't close doors to hurt you. He closes them to guide you. He sees what you can't see. And when one door shuts, another is already being prepared to open. You might be in the hallway right now, but that hallway is holy ground because it's where your faith grows. It's where you learn to trust God, not because of what He gives, but because of who He is. You must learn to speak faith even when you feel fear. Words are powerful. When you declare, I trust God, even when your world shakes, heaven takes notice. When you say, I believe there is a way, even when you can't see it, you align yourself with divine power. Faith isn't about denying the storm. It's about believing there's peace in the middle of it. You may not be able to control what happens around you, but you can control what you believe within you. And belief is what changes everything. When you decide to believe, despite the evidence, you invite miracles into motion. Do not let comparison steal your confidence. You may look around and see others progressing faster, achieving more, or living easier lives. But remember this, God's timing is not measured by human clocks. What's meant for you will never miss you. Your journey is not behind, it's customized. You are not late, you are being perfected. Everyone has their own process. God is writing your story at the pace that matches your strength, your faith, and your purpose. You don't need to rush what's divine. When it's your time, the right opportunities will chase you down. What's meant for you will find you when you are ready to carry it. Sometimes God hides you for a reason. There's a sacredness in being unseen. The seasons where you feel invisible are often the seasons where God is equipping you. He's preparing your heart, strengthening your mind, and maturing your faith. It's easy to crave recognition, but hidden seasons are holy seasons. That's when your roots grow deep. so that when your time of revealing comes, you can stand tall and not be moved. God is not punishing you by keeping you hidden. He's protecting you from premature exposure. He knows the weight of what He's preparing you for, and He won't reveal it until you're strong enough to carry it. And when the time comes, it will come suddenly. That's the beauty of God's timing. He often moves in quiet preparation, then manifests in powerful transformation. One day, everything will shift. The waiting will end. The answers will come. The promise will appear. The door will open. And you'll realize that it was worth every tear, every delay, every prayer whispered in the dark. You'll realize that God was never slow. He was simply aligning everything perfectly. You'll realize that His plan was not to test you, but to transform you. Do not mistake the presence of struggle for the absence of God. The presence of struggle often means He's closer than ever. You are being molded, shaped, stretched, and strengthened. Growth never happens in comfort. The most powerful trees are the ones that face the fiercest winds. The deepest faith belongs to those who endured the hardest seasons. If you are in a storm right now, don't curse it, use it. Let it teach you resilience. Let it remind you of your source. Let it drive you deeper into trust. God doesn't promise a life free of battles, but He promises that you will never face them alone. He does not promise that you won't feel weak, but He promises that His strength will meet you there. Sometimes faith looks like standing still. Not every victory comes from movement. Some come from endurance. There are moments when the only thing you can do is wait and believe. And that's enough. Waiting in faith is not passive. It's the most powerful act of trust there is. It's saying, I don't know how, but I know who. It's resting in the knowledge that God is working in ways beyond your understanding. The unseen hand of God moves quietly but powerfully. While you are waiting, He is aligning people, resources, and circumstances that will bring everything together at the right time. If you could see what God sees, you would never doubt again. If you could see how close you are to the breakthrough, you would never give up. If you could see how your pain is producing purpose, you would never curse the process. That's why faith is so powerful. It lets you believe what your eyes cannot yet see. Faith is the bridge between your current struggle and your coming success. And the moment you decide to hold on to that bridge, no matter what, that's when God steps in to do what only He can do. So stand firm even when it's hard. Keep believing even when it hurts. Keep walking even when you're weary, because your story isn't ending here. You have more strength than you know, more purpose than you imagine, and more help than you realize. The same God who started your journey is the one guiding it. He hasn't changed His plan because of your pain. He hasn't canceled His promise because of your setbacks. He hasn't forgotten you because of your silence. You are still chosen. You are still covered. You are still on the path of destiny. And one day soon, you will look back at this moment, the pain, the fear, the uncertainty, and you will thank God for not giving you what you thought you wanted, because He was preparing you for what you truly needed. You will see that every closed door was a redirection towards something far greater. You will understand that the delays were divine protection. You will realize that the pain was part of your preparation. God did not bring you this far to leave you. He did not raise you up just to let you fall. He brought you this far to remind you that His word never fails, His power never weakens, and His love never ends. There is victory on the other side of your struggle. There is clarity on the other side of your confusion. There is peace on the other side of your pain. So keep moving. Keep trusting. Keep believing that your story is still being written by the hands of the one who never fails. Because when God says, I will carry you, He means it. When He says, I will never forsake you, He stands by it. And when He says, I have a plan for you, He will see it through. You may not see it yet, but your miracle is already in motion. God did not bring you this far to fail you. He brought you this far to fulfill you. My friend, as you stand at this moment in your life, take a deep breath and remember who brought you here. It was not luck. It was not coincidence. It was the guiding hand of God. The same God who carried you through the storm will not abandon you in the calm. The same God who opened doors you never imagined will not close them without purpose. You are still standing because He willed it. You are still breathing because He has not finished His work in you. Every battle you've fought, every tear you've shed, every night you've prayed through, all of it was shaping something sacred within you. You are not a failure. You are a survivor of divine design. Lift your head and strengthen your heart, for God's plan is never defeated by human weakness. You may have fallen, but you have not failed. You may have been delayed, but you have not been denied. God's timing is perfect, even when your patience is not. He has written your story with wisdom deeper than your understanding. When you feel forgotten, He is preparing a greater stage. When you feel small, He is training your strength in silence. When everything looks impossible, that is when His power begins to move. The world may tell you to quit, but the voice of God still whispers, keep going. I did not bring you this far to leave you now. There is a reason your heart still beats with hope after everything you've endured. It's because God placed endurance in your soul. He placed courage in your chest and faith in your steps. You are walking on ground that once looked like ruin, yet beneath it flows the foundation of purpose. Do not curse the waiting season. It is where God builds your strength. Do not despise the closed door. It is God's way of protecting what your eyes cannot yet see. You may not understand the path, but trust the one who created it. He never promised that the journey would be easy, but He promised that His presence would never leave you. So rise again. Shake off the fear, the doubt, and the guilt. Let your heart remember who your Creator is. You are not walking alone. Every breath is proof that God is near. Let His peace anchor your soul in the middle of uncertainty. Let His wisdom guide your thoughts. Let His strength fill the places where you feel empty. The same God who formed the stars knows your name. The same God who commands the winds also commands your destiny. You are not too late. You are not forgotten. You are being positioned for something greater than what you can imagine. Walk forward with quiet confidence. Speak with faith, not fear. Pray with surrender, not worry. When you cannot see the way, trust that God is already ahead of you, clearing the path. When you feel weak, remind yourself that the power that raised you before will raise you again. This is not the end of your story. It is the place where God's glory begins to unfold. He has carried you through every fire not to burn you, but to refine you. He has let the waves rise not to drown you, but to teach you that He still commands the sea. Let your soul find rest in knowing that God never starts something He will not finish. You are part of a divine promise, written by hands that never fail. Whatever lies ahead, face it with courage. Speak to your fears and tell them that your God is greater. Stand firm in your faith, even when the night feels long. For dawn is already forming beyond the horizon, and God Himself is bringing it toward you. So hold your head high, breathe deeply, and move forward. You are walking in the care of a faithful God who does not forget the work of His hands. Trust His process, honor His timing, and keep your heart open to His whisper. For when all else fades, His word remains. He did not bring you this far to fail you. And if He brought you here, He will see you through to victory. Let that truth be the fire in your spirit, the calm in your storm, and the light that never goes out. God is with you, and that is enough.